What the hell just happened? Whoa,
That's a
that was
valid reaction.
crazy. That was crazy. I have no clue what happened. But I think I might have liked it. This is Off Track Podcast
Where each episode, one brother presents a project to be reviewed by the other.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 11 of Off Track Podcast. Each episode, one of us brothers will bring a project that we love for the other one to hear for the first time and react to. We're both hip hop heads, but we'll bring projects from all different genres and we'll include well known projects, more underground stuff, and everything in between.
Today is our second to last episode of Season 1. So I had to bring a really good album today, and I'm going to be introducing Parker to Maggot Brain by Funkadelic.
Nice.
So super excited. But before diving into that, let's just catch up a little bit. How have you been doing, Parker?
Yeah, pretty good. Not anything too crazy. Mostly just school. We're getting towards the end of the semester here. We've got less than a month left, which means finals are gonna start in just like 2.5, 3 weeks here. So kind of scary. Not sure if I'm ready for that, but
It's
I'm
always a fun time.
definitely ready for the semester to be over.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, I've been listening to a lot of music. I don't know if you listen. I don't know if you heard the Hosier EP that he dropped.
I did, yeah.
I loved it. I thought
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
so
really
good.
good.
There were some really good songs on there. Too Sweet was really good. Wildflower and Barley, I thought was awesome. Um, that song actually, Wildflower and Barley, the beginning of it reminded me of like a piano cover of 90210 by Travis Scott. It has like the exact same chord progression in this song. I don't know if you know who, and I don't even know how to say his name. It's like Elmine.
I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, El Mine. I don't know, but he hasn't dropped too much stuff. But the stuff he has dropped is incredible, and I've been listening to him a lot lately. And then another one, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name, but I think it's like Chai Saint or something.
Okay.
I just found her. She is so good. She does like a little bit of rapping, some singing. But
Hmm.
yeah, some good stuff. Also, listen to the Beyonce album that came out this week. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
she she doesn't disappoint. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good week. What about you? What
Nice.
what have you been up to? What you've been listening to?
Yeah, life has been kind of busy, honestly. Our cousin Carson came to visit last weekend, and
That's right. I
so
saw that.
that was fun. We're also in the middle of like selling our van, our camper van, so that's just chaotic. But yeah, everything's going good.
Also, show us the shirt that you're wearing. I'm
Oh
rocking
yeah.
the Kendrick Lamar
Oh,
Big
nice,
Steppers
nice. Yeah,
tour
we've got
shirt.
the same shirt. But then this one is a shirt from
Nice.
Poetic Justice, the movie
That's so
Tupac
sick.
did with Janet Jackson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, music wise, do you know Muddy Waters? He's like super old.
I don't think so.
He's a blues musician from like the
Okay,
40s or whatever. And I listened to just like a compilation album from him, and it was super, super good.
nice.
Um, like you can clearly hear like the influence on like rock in the mid 1900s and everything. So
Yeah,
I listened to Bizarre Ride to the Far Side, which I had never listened to all the way through, but it was so good. Um, and then I also like while I was getting me and my our cousin who was visiting, we got tattoos together. The tattoo shop was playing this like doom metal band called Saint Vitus.
hmm.
I think for people who listen to metal, it's like pretty well known, but it never kind of like became mainstream or anything. But so I
Gotcha.
had never heard of them, but they're really good. So I've been listening to Saint Vitus a lot. Their album Born Too Late, super good.
Nice.
Okay, let's get into Maggot Brain. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for this, dude. So Maggot Brain by Funkadelic, super just legendary funk album from the early 70s. And I was actually considering doing this album as the very first one that I brought to you for the first episode of this podcast.
Nice.
Um, it's so good. To be honest, one of the big reasons I didn't bring it is that Anthony Fantano, like that same week, dropped a classic review of it. I was like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be copying
just copy
Fantano.
him.
But then I was listening through to some of the recommendations that have come through to us on Instagram about like what albums we could cover or whatever. And our cousin Mariah had recommended this album, and I was like, you know what? It is so good. So I got to do it.
And she sent us that message. She said that Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. She said that he himself had said that this album inspired a lot of the elements of Awaken My Love. So
yeah,
if it resembles anything like that, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so before we like start listening, just some quick background on Funkadelic. So the first way I found out about Funkadelic, they're a funk band from started in the 60s, went I think they recorded like into the 80s, maybe early 80s.
Cool.
And the way that I found out about them was digging into like the roots and influences of hip hop. Back like when I was in college, I was learning about like G-Funk, which Dr. Dre pioneered in like the mid 90s and ended up defining basically the West Coast hip hop sound. That like subgenre of hip hop takes its name from and is heavily like inspired by and samples P-Funk, which is the short name for a music collective from the 70s called Parliament Funkadelic. It was a music collective led by George Clinton. He was a singer, a songwriter. He started out as a songwriter for Motown Records. And back in the 60s, he started this doo-wop quintet called the Parliaments that he was a singer for, but he also managed the group. And this like R&B group, he put together this like backing band for the Parliaments. And eventually that backing band became its own thing, and that was what eventually became the band Funkadelic. So in 1968 was when Funkadelic officially became its own group. And the Parliaments, the original like R&B group, they evolved into Parliament, a different funk band. And the band Funkadelic, that name is kind of like a reference to like how they incorporate elements of like psychedelic rock and incorporate that with funk music. And they released their first two albums in 1970, and 1971 is when they released this album, Maggot Brain, which was their third album.
Okay.
Also, just to call out that I think it was their first album was called Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. Which I just think is amazing.
What a legendary name.
Okay.
Do you know this album cover? Is that like supposed to be anybody in particular? Is that a member of the band or?
I don't think it's a member of the band. I mean, the title is called Maggot Brain of the album, and the album cover is this woman with her head sticking out of like
the dirt.
Yeah, and you can kind of see what looks like probably would be maggots, kind of like in the dirt, and she's kind of like she's kind of screaming in a way, and it looks like it could be either screaming from like joy or like pain. It's kind of an ambiguous looking scream. I don't think the woman herself is part of the collective. She is just a model.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Maggot Brain. We got 7 songs. Came out in 1971. So the first track is the title track. So track number 1, Maggot Brain.
Mother Earth is pregnant for the 3rd time, for y'all have knocked her up. I have tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe. I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all or drown in my own shit.
The enunciation, so good.
In my own shit.
And that opening monologue was actually sampled in Hyena by Travis Scott from Utopia last year.
Oh,
it's like towards the end of the song.
Yes, it sounds familiar. I could see that. That cool like echo on. It's like just a single,
like a single
hit of the drum
hit. Yeah.
That guitar is so sick.
Yeah.
That psychedelic rock influence already coming in strong.
Yeah. Definitely Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
is
totally.
influenced as well.
Oh, it just panned over to both. Oh, just for a second though.
Yeah. It's been mostly in the right channel, and then now it's back to both though. It's kind of going.
It's like
in and
going
out.
back and forth. Yeah. Oh man.
He's just shredding.
Yeah. But it's so calm. Just like the background, like.
I know. I love just like
it's
the.
It's almost like a lullaby in the background.
Yeah. Just like soft guitar doing just simple arpeggiated chord progression.
Ton of reverb. There's no drums or any percussion at all.
So the original recording, they did have the full band in, but then George Clinton thought that they kind of distracted too much from the guitar solo by Eddie Hazel.
Yeah.
So he took them out of the mix and just let it be.
Gotcha.
Which I think was the right call.
Yeah. Oh, he's going crazy.
Yeah. And then plus with the echo and everything, it's just like.
Yeah. I can just imagine watching this live at like a music festival or something. This would be so sick. There's every once in a while there's a tiny little cymbal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very, very quiet.
Yeah.
It's such a like delicate solo.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds so cool. Some bass coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a bridge in this. This is like the kind of the main melody, kind of a similar pattern he's been following, and then kind of diverted from that for a little bit, and now he's back.
Yeah.
Those background chords changed to not be like arpeggiated chords, but
it's like clubbed.
And now it's like it's like kind of going back and forth. Yeah.
All the like distortion in there.
Yeah. It sounds so cool. The bend of the notes.
Mm-hmm.
Sound a very faint cowbell in the back. Then.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, we need more cowbell.
We do need more cowbell. The drums so faintly in the back, just like.
Mm-hmm. Just really soft.
Damn. Okay, wow. That was that was like it was 10 minutes and 19 seconds
Yeah.
of pretty much just straight guitar solo, psychedelic guitar.
Yeah.
That was really damn cool. That was sick.
Yeah,
That
that
was a
was
really cool way to start this album.
yeah. Eddie Hazel can definitely shred.
Can definitely see some Jimi Hendrix influence there.
Yeah.
When this came out in 71.
71, yeah. So Jimi Hendrix, I think, died in
Jimi Hendrix was like
1970. Oh yeah, he had been, basically through the late 60s or whatever. Jimi
yeah,
Hendrix had been doing his thing.
yeah, wow. So that monologue from the beginning, do you know what that's from? Is that from a
I'm
movie
pr
or something, or
I'm pretty sure it is original. I think that is George Clinton speaking.
oh, oh,
Yeah.
and so you were saying this was sampled in
Hyena.
Hyena, that's right.
Yeah.
And says Mother Earth is pregnant for the third time, for y'all have knocked her up. I have tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe. I was not offended, for I knew I had to rise above it all. Or drown in my own shit.
Yeah.
um, damn, okay. I've tasted the maggots in the mind of the universe. I'm not entirely sure what that means, if that's just like he's seen the shit that, just like exists in humanity and the world, and he's
Yeah.
seen, some of the bad stuff that has come out of that. But
Yeah, no, I think that's accurate. Like maggots make you think of like rotting,
yeah,
something that's decaying.
they eat away at what's alive.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, like the kind of like the death of humanity, or
We have knocked up Mother Earth definitely evokes like environmental
like
things or
we've done fucked it up.
yeah.
Like literally we've,
Yeah, y'all have knocked
or
her up. I think that's
yeah,
like I
yeah,
think
like
the idea there is like that's a euphemism for like we have fucked it up. Yeah.
yeah, damn. Okay, that was super super dope. Honestly, like even though there weren't like any sung lyrics or anything, and it was like probably about 8 minutes of like more or less the same guitar solo. I
Hmm.
loved it. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I have anything bad to say about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's kind of based
super.
on like the similar concept, and he just kind of improvs on this concept and riffs on it. And then, like you said, there's that like middle section that is
Uh-huh.
basically like a bridge.
During the main kind of riff that he was doing, he was, playing some dissonant notes, and just playing off different chords and stuff. But
Hmm.
in that middle section, he did it even more, where he kind of just like completely went and did his own thing.
Yeah, and
Kind
he
of
kind of
without any structure.
yeah. Yeah, and he kind of switched up like where a lot of the like actual notes being played in most of the guitar solo were like these like long, these like bended notes, elongated and kind of like going up and down. Whereas in the bridge, he kind of switched a little bit to it was like the strings seemed like they were muted, and so it was almost like this picking sound that was just like tick, 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 or
Yeah.
whatever.
And for most of it, he was going like kind of one note at a time
Mhm.
all over. And in that little bridge section, he was plucking two strings at once.
Yeah,
He was kind of like do, and kind of quickly,
yeah,
which he didn't really do throughout the rest of that solo.
yeah.
I think man, I loved it. I'm trying to think if I can give that a 10 or not, because that it was just like, it was so sick. I'm gonna
Yeah,
give it a 10. I'm gonna give it
yeah,
a 10 because there's honestly nothing bad I could say about it. I
yeah,
don't care that it was 10 minutes and that it was like, I don't know. So some people might find it boring after the first 5 or so minutes. I don't know. I thought it was dope. I'm gonna give it a 10
yeah.
because that was
Love it.
sick. That was a really cool way to start the album.
Yeah. George Clinton supposedly told Eddie Hazel, the guitarist, to
Mhm.
play as if he had just found out that his mother had died.
Oh
Um,
wow.
there were some aspects there that I felt like actually like directly resembled like grief or sobbing. There's
Yeah, it
like,
was such an emotional
yeah,
solo.
yeah. There was this section where he kind of goes and like hits these really high notes and then falls down. Sounds like wailing to me.
Yeah, it really does.
To me, that middle section, the volume comes down. He's got playing on muted strings. To me, that almost sounds like after you've had a big crying session and you're kind of just like sniffling or like breathing, gasping or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like it definitely follows that like when you're in a very emotional state, it definitely follows that roller coaster of like very high levels of emotion. That kind of roller coaster kind of all over the place. And after a while of that, it like kind of settles down, and then it can definitely flare back up like that. So that I think that was super well done. Man, I'm excited for the rest of the album. Next song is titled "Can You Get to That." That step down in the guitars. Sick.
And it's like acoustic guitar. Super different from the first one.
Oh, so sick. I love this.
Church shoes signed with love and kisses later come back signed insufficient funds. Can you get?
I can definitely see the influence this had on Childish Gambino.
Yeah. Even with just like the like really high like funky vocals.
Yeah, like the background.
Groovy. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
On credit and your loving days are done. A check you signed with the loving kiss a later.
Man, he's got a crazy voice.
Insufficient fun, yo.
The contrast between that super high voice and this crazy low.
Yeah.
This sounds so sweet. Nice. Okay, that was sweet. Interesting in that chorus too, like when you base your love on credit and your loving days are gone, checks you signed with a love and kisses later come back signed insufficient funds. Like, damn. I can argue like that being part of the like the maggot that is eating away at like humanity, like the love of money and greed and stuff like that. Crazy.
And I feel like there's like kind of multiple layers to that phrase. Like there's also the idea of like when you basically promise someone that you will love them at a later date or whatever, but then when that time comes, you have insufficient funds. And then there's also like there's a reference to the Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech where he said something really similar along these lines about America has promised freedom or something, but that the check has come back marked as insufficient funds because America has not lived up to its promise. So I feel like there's like several layers of like meaning that this could have that is pretty interesting.
Yeah. And then the like the end of that chorus, the repetition of can you get to that? I want to know if you can get to that. I don't know if that's just like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what that means. But
part of me thinks it means kind of like, can you get with that? As in like, would you be cool with that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Love the contrast in the different voices coming in and out. Like we already mentioned, that like super high, almost like scream in the background totally resembles like on songs like Redbone or other songs on Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. Can totally see where he was getting some ideas out of this album already. So I think I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Super fun to listen to. There's a lot going on musically. Obviously like a lot more complex than the first song. Immediately had a lot of percussion involved and switched up from the psychedelic guitar to that like acoustic guitar. But it was dope. I liked it. All right, next track number 3 is titled Hit It and Quit It. Okay. So
you good?
Yeah. I was wondering what this was going to be about before the song started. and now I'm getting it. Some dope like synth piano.
Yeah. Keyboard solo.
Yeah. Another dope guitar solo.
Yeah.
This time with the percussion to back it up.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, before it started, I was wondering if like Hit It and Quit It, if that was going to be a reference to like maybe drugs, or if it was going to be like Hit It and Quit It, like I hit that sexually. Another Key and Peele reference.
Yeah.
So like in that same vein with the theme of like knocked up Mother Earth.
Yeah.
If it's another like hitting, like pretty much just take and don't give. You know, just take everything good from Earth and don't worry about giving anything back or doing anything to like improve the situation. But then he's like, you can shake it to the west, shake it to the east, hit it, move all up and down, move it all around. But I think Key and Peele was on the money on this one.
Yeah.
It was a fun song. Good some cool like guitar stuff going on in the back. I think
I love the little like that main riff.
Dope. Yeah, I think I'll probably give it I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Good song. Yeah, nothing too crazy. I feel like lyrically like didn't say too much, like kind of repeated the same idea a few different times. But yeah,
cool.
Okay, fourth track is titled Play. Oh, that's a long title. Let's see. It's Play You and Your Folks, Me and My Folks.
I don't think
wait.
It's not Play. Oh. When you hover over the song.
I hovered over it.
And it says play so it's just the song title.
Yeah, so it's just You and Your Folks, Me and My Folks. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it. Okay. Let's check it out. I like this piano a lot.
Yeah. I love that bass.
Yeah.
But if in our biz we don't
love that piano line in the back is so sick.
Yeah. It's just like a little jazzy. It's got some really interesting chords.
Yeah. It's like this. If Billy Joel was like a funk artist, I could see him sing something like this.
Yeah.
So can you get to that line again? I love that chorus. If you and your folks love me and my folks like me and my folks love you and your folks.
Yeah.
That's so dope. And then in that last iteration of that, they changed it up. If you and your thing dig me and my thing.
Yeah.
That was really dope. I really like this song. Yeah, right off the bat, I think the piano chords in the very beginning just like immediately caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
so sick.
There's something, I don't know what it's called, but when the piano like hits a note, but first hits a note like just underneath it.
It rolls off of the last note.
Adds even more like jazziness to it.
So it kind of sounds like he's talking about like the rich got a big piece of this and that. The poor got a big piece of roaches and rats.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the disparity between the rich and the poor.
I actually didn't notice until you pointed out that that phrase is repeated again. Can you get to that? So it's kind of interesting if you take that same interpretation that I was talking about earlier about like, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Like, can you get with that or not?
Yeah.
It's kind of
in that
question.
Very last verse, you want peace, I want peace, they want peace, and the kids need peace. There won't be no peace. The rich got a big piece of this and that. The poor got a big piece of roaches and rats.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
I haven't seen anything definitive about it, but I think that if you and your folks love me and my folks like me and my folks love you and your folks, I think it's kind of a call to like racial unity, in the sense that if poor Black people and poor white people are fighting each other and they don't have peace, like he talks about in that last verse, then you can't ever like fix the situation of the rich having a big piece of it, but the poor getting a big piece of roaches and rats.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of what it makes me think about. Like you and your folks as in like a different race, like you and your like race of people and me and my, if we like each other and like we're grooving with each other, then like, why don't we just be cool with each other and then like focus on the problem at hand?
And if we're both being oppressed by the people above us, then why not work together here?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'll give that song like an 8.5 out of 10. Super fun song. Yeah, I think I love that one. So next song here, track 5, is called Super Stupid. Super Stupid. We'll see.
It's your theme song.
Coming out strong with the guitar, okay?
Oh yeah.
Sounds like Spurs on I don't know what that sounds like. Super different style than the other songs.
Yeah.
Super fast paced. A lot more of that heavy guitar.
Yeah, a lot more like rock inspired.
All right, well that's the end of the lyrics there. We got a couple minutes left. tiring solo to perform.
Yeah.
For everybody, and the drums is just going steady.
Yeah.
The guitar is crazy. It's all very fast paced.
It just goes on for so long. I mean, it's one thing, that first song where it's like a really slow, drawn out solo, but this is just like fast for a long time.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, totally. It's cool to see like the build up from the first track where it's a much slower guitar solo. It feels very, yeah, like heavy emotionally. And then as the songs kind of progress, it's gotten more. The drums have come in heavier. The guitars have gotten heavier, and this solo is like totally just rocking out. Just going for it. The lyrics came in super fast too. I wasn't expecting him to be singing that fast. So super stupid brought a nickel bag, thought it was coke, but it was a skag. What is a skag?
Skag is a like word for heroin. So
okay.
So someone thought they were buying coke, but they bought heroin by accident.
They bought heroin. Super stupid. Did a 1-in-1. Then his eyes began to water and his nose began to run. Oh, stupid with your ups and downs, your maggot brain, your grins and frowns. Super stupid, you're here today. You've lost the fight. This is an interesting last line. Super stupid, you're here today. You've lost the fight, and the winner is fear.
And
then that guitar solo was super dope. The guitar and drums.
Yeah. That's some nasty. That was just heavy, amazing, like guitar solo. Like you said, the whole band was just like keeping it steady to back the guitar solo.
That one would also be crazy to see live.
Yeah.
Super good song. I think I'll give it probably like an 8 out of 10. This one more so than like the first song, even though the guitar solo was way longer on the first song. I think I enjoyed it more. I think this one ran just like a little bit long for me personally. But it was incredible still. It was so good. So
yeah. Nice.
Okay. Next song is titled Back in Our Minds. This is the second to last track. How are they even making that sound?
I have no idea.
I wonder if this is like a continuation of the dude in the last track that was like tripping on heroin.
Yeah, like out of his mind,
like coming out of this crazy high that he was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe the opposite, because it sounds like he's like tripping right now. Trumpet solo.
Yeah.
And there's a cool piano thing going on in the back. That was dope. There was a lot of cool stuff going on with the instruments in this one.
Yeah.
It sounded at some point, I don't know exactly what it was. It almost sounded like a xylophone sounding kind of instrument in the back. Like kind of that like very like round kind of hollow sound, playing like a very simple chords. That piano line behind the trumpet towards the end, lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it almost sounds like, because it's kind of a chaotic sounding song, it kind of sounds like we're in the mind of whoever, the super stupid from the last song, where he's like, I don't know, tripping and It's like we can't stand no more. But I mean, I don't know. It could be a lot of different things.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of different like ways you could interpret it. Either like
Yeah.
we're back in our minds, and that could be a reference to like he was out of his mind because he was tripping, now he's back in his mind and we're not fighting anymore. Or like you said, it does sound kind of trippy, especially with that like thing.
Yeah.
And so it could be something along the lines of like the drugs help us like not to fight anymore or whatever, which would be like super in line with like some of the hippie movement ideals of like the
Yeah.
value of doing drugs.
Yeah. Interesting song. It yeah, totally like puts you puts you in a different place than some of the other songs.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I thought it was good. I think I'll probably give it like a 7.5
Okay.
out of 10.
Nice.
Um and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that leads into this last song.
Yeah.
Wars of Armageddon is what it's titled.
It definitely follows this back in our minds, definitely
Mhm.
follows one of the themes that has been touched on, especially in the like if your folks, you and your folks, me and my folks,
Yeah.
um about just like peace. And like there's the
Yeah.
line that says like we're supposed to be brothers living in this world we all live in, which some of the same language about like taking care of our brothers, or specifically taking care of like your brother, in the context of that you and your folks, me and my folks song, potentially
Yeah.
meaning like someone of another race or something.
Hmm.
So anyways, we're supposed to be brothers living in this world we all live in. So kind of interesting that that's the like a through line throughout some of these songs, is this like idea of like peace and love.
And also that I like being back in our minds, and the title of the album being Maggot Brain. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I wonder if that is like it could be, I don't know, maybe interpreted a couple different ways, but maybe like when we're back in our minds and we're able to recognize that there are either maggots, that some of these things are either dying, or just being able to recognize and be in the state of mind to realize that there are problems um going on. Okay, last track here is Wars of Armageddon. Bring the cowbell back. Ooh, I like those drums. Like a organ sounding.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so much going on.
Yeah. Some sort of siren. I'm like a dad yelling
at his like
wife
kid to stop
yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
Sounds like an airport or something, train station maybe.
Like some crowd laughing at comedy.
People laughing, yeah. Little cuckoo clock. Oop poop a doo. Train. What is going on? We're on a farm now, maybe.
right the fuck on. Right on. Gotta give some major props to the drummer on this song.
Yeah, yeah.
Going so constant and adding some like cool little variations in there. Yeah.
Sounds like hacking. So many interesting sounds going on.
Yeah.
Oh, is that you or the music?
The music in the back is groovy though.
It is groovy. If there ever was a groovy part, that's the one. I'd love to see this one performed live. I don't know what the hell that would look like.
It's a fat, funky person.
Interesting. Look at that pollution. It's a fat, funky person. What the hell just happened? Whoa.
That's a
that was
valid reaction.
crazy. That was crazy. I have no clue what happened. But I think I might have liked it. I don't know.
Yeah, so what are your feelings and thoughts?
Okay, so it went. This song, first of all, this was like a almost 10-minute long song.
Yeah. Which
It
is
almost
crazy.
feels like
This album is
it.
like 36 minutes long or something, and basically 20 minutes of that is from the first and the last
first
song.
and the last. Yeah. It kind of felt like, so it was like super chaotic basically the whole time. The title Wars of Armageddon is like kind of symbolically like the battle between good and evil.
Yeah, and like the apocalypse and like the end of the world.
And that's totally kind of what it sounds like. It sounds like we're going through like scenes of a bunch of different places, like in the beginning. So at the beginning you hear this like dad sounds like yelling at his wife or kid. This baby is like screaming and crying.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude's just like sounds like he's had it. And then there's like the people chanting like, what do we want? Freedom. When do we want it? Now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to like, it was I think like a airport, and then a plane station, or a plane station. That's an airport. A train station. And then there's like these two dudes like laughing, going back and forth, like, more power to the people, more pussy to the power, more pussy to the people, more power to the pussy. And they're just kind of like going back and forth on that.
Yeah. And then they're like, that's when they say like, right on.
Right on, brother. It's kind of interesting. And then the very end, it like all kind of slowed down, all died down. And then there's like there's like thunder, and it sounds like a storm. And then this person says, look at that pollution. It's a fat, funky person. And then it again kind of dies down and turns into like the like storm kind of turns into like a heartbeat. So what to make of all of that? I'm not too sure.
One thing is it's kind of faint at the end, but someone says something like, it looks like a mushroom or something like that at the end. Rather than being thunder, it's bomb blasts, like of a nuclear bomb or something.
So like actual wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of representative of like the maggot brain of all of us. Like if we let it get to a point where we're literally just killing each other and like literally killing the humanity within each of us, then Yeah, that shit's no bueno. No bueno.
Yeah.
Don't be doing that.
Like I think obviously it's confusing and like a lot going on, but I think the feelings that it's giving you and like the way you're starting to like interpret them, I think is like right on the money. I'll let you finish your like any thoughts you have on this song or whatever, or give it a rating, and then I can give my thoughts, which
Yeah.
also kind of segues into my like final thoughts on the album. But
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, I think I'll just give it, I'll go ahead and rate it. I think I'm gonna give it, I don't know. It sounds very intentional. I just am not super sure what to make of it. So
yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it like a 7 out of 10 for now. It was very groovy. There was some straight up farts on the song, which caught me off guard.
If the farts were removed, would you have given it a 7.5?
7.5 without the farts. It was definitely felt chaotic. I like kind of was feeling what they were going for.
Yeah, I think this song has like kind of two layers to it. The surface level layer is like George Clinton, who's just this like eccentric guy who is just like weird and likes weird things and likes to
Yeah.
experiment with stuff and is frequently on drugs. And so I think on the surface layer you have that, and honestly some of the greatest music comes out of people being weird and like
That
experimenting
is
with
true.
it. And here he's clearly
Absolutely.
just like throwing random sounds into things and whatever. So I think that's
Mhm.
part of the layer, and it's just part of his like ethos of experimentation leading into
Yeah.
weirdness. So that's kind of
Totally.
like the
Yeah.
first layer. But then like you said, it sounds intentional. It sounds like there's something deeper going on here. The direction you were going with it is totally on the right track, where you described it as like these like scenes of just like the world in a really crazy time, in a really in a
Yeah.
time when it feels like the mind of humanity has been rotted by maggots. It's an abstract representation of like the time that this occurred, and you hear people
Mhm.
chanting and protesting, and then you hear also people, I think that like power to the people, people to the power to the pussy, pussy to the power, where a catchphrase for a political movement becomes just that and it loses its meaning. So honestly, okay, so I kind of feel like this last song is almost like the thesis statement or like the microcosm of what the entire album is trying to tell. And this is going to
Mm.
get a little bit like very interpretive. I won't say a little bit, very interpretive, but I think that's
Yeah.
one of the most like the coolest things about music and art is that like people do create things in certain ways for a reason, and sometimes they never like reveal what those reasons are. And
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing thing that that every individual then can like interpret that art, and it makes people feel different ways, makes people think of different things. And so
Yeah.
anyways, this is my my interpretation of some of this. So yeah, we have like the entire arc of the album. You start out with like this Maggot Brain, like the monologue, talking about basically
Mhm.
like evoking like we are at a dead end. Humanity has brain rotted itself to a point where like it is dead. And we think about this, like the Eddie Hazel guitar solo makes you think of like mourning the death of something or someone. And
Yeah.
then throughout the next two songs you have like uh can you get to that? So that's like that song was where it was talking about like insufficient funds and
Mhm.
kind of talk like moving past the idea of like love and like talking about love when love fails. um when you pay your love with credit and then your check comes back marked as insufficient funds, then you get
Yeah.
hit it and quit it, which is purely like lust, sexual desire, um love in its most like hollow shelled out form, right?
Yeah.
um
Mhm.
and it's groovy, it's fun, and um nothing wrong with it uh necessarily. But then you go back to you and your folks, me and my folks, just like emphasizing like we need like the love, we need to get back, we need to have peace, we need to
Mhm.
kind of like band together to like address some of these issues. And then you get into Super Stupid, bringing in like the drug, like a drug story. And to me, like all of these things are kind of like they almost tell the story of like the 60s,
Yeah.
where you have all of these different ideas swirling around, and drugs entering the mix, and like the sexual revolution. There's like a common narrative about the way that US culture changed throughout the 60s and 70s, that like the 60s was the time of like the hippie movement was super big, peace and love, and it was a time, despite like a bunch of crazy stuff that was going on at the time, it was a time of like generally like having an optimistic way of looking at things, and that like we can fix this. We just need
Yeah.
to be like, we need to all love each other or whatever. And then that the 70s represented kind of like the death of that, like at least the fading into the background of some of those ideas that had been really prominent, and that
Yeah.
started by the beginning of the 70s, started kind of like giving way to more of this like pessimistic attitude. We already talked about some of the connections between Super Stupid and Back in Our Minds, and some different ways you can interpret that. But then to me,
Yeah.
like this last song, Wars of Armageddon, there's something in Super Stupid that we called out, like the whole, what is it?
I think it was "You have lost the war, the winner is fear" or something.
Yeah. And so I think like Wars of Armageddon paints a picture of like, what is it that everyone is afraid of? What is the fear that dominated people's minds in the late 60s and early 70s? And it's painting this picture of a world that is so chaotic. There's so many distractions. There is actual fear for, like, at the end of the song, there's 3 atomic bombs that go off. There's actual fear
Yeah.
for like the real Armageddon, the real end of the world. And that was like something that was super salient in people's minds during that time, during the Cold War.
Yeah.
And you also have at the same time all of these political movements. And I can imagine that being alive in that time would have just felt just like, honestly, maybe not too different
Not too
from
different from today,
today.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where like we have a pandemic, we have, Black Lives Matter has been, a huge kind of aspect of the American like political landscape. So to me, it kind of paints this picture of like, there is so much going on and it feels so chaotic, and we are all scared of like what could happen. Three things that I think are really notable about this song. One is, and I kind of brought it up while we were listening to the song, despite all of the like crazy shit that's going on, and like random sounds, things that are distracting you, the music just continues grooving the whole time. And if you focus on the
Yeah.
music, it's pretty groovy and you can kind of like rock out if you try to ignore some of the fart noises and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and to me, that's almost by itself like the message that they're trying to send, that is like, we need to focus on the prize. And they talked about it at a couple points in the album. We need peace, we need harmony, we need to all kind of like work together towards overcoming the challenges that we have like as a society.
And like the idea of like, don't lose the war by letting fear be the winner. Like if you just kind of sit back and just let it all consume you and take over, then you've lost the war if you just allow that to happen.
Exactly.
That's dope. Yeah.
So yeah, kind of going along with this whole idea of like the spirit of the 60s had maybe died. And it feels like they're trying to advocate for like, let's bring back the hope, and let's bring back this like belief in love and in peace and unity.
Yeah.
And if we do that, that we can kind of like get through all of the shit that's going on. So that's the first thing, like, that I feel like that music going on in the background kind of like symbolizes. And then the second thing was going to be like, at the end, the nuclear bombs go off, and then it kind of like fades away, and then you hear a beating heart. It just goes. And to me, like, there's this whole like representation of like humanity has died. The brain has maggots in it, maggot brain. And then you have the beating heart at the very end of the album. And that goes along to me with this like hopeful theme that like, it's not actually dead. We can still bring it back to life. humanity
Yeah.
still has a heartbeat. And then
Yeah.
the third thing that I think is really notable is that it just ends off after that heartbeat. There's just like a random snippet of music that plays for like a few seconds that is
Yeah, it
not the
like
same
starts
music.
back up.
Have this heartbeat to kind of like represent hope in like humanity being able to continue living on. I think they're saying
Mhm.
here at the end, like music is one of our ways that we can have hope and like create unity.
That's sweet. And honestly, like as you were saying that, I feel like the first song, that first like very slow emotional guitar solo, you know, as this album wraps up, I was just like imagining listening back through it again. And I feel like that guitar solo in Maggot Brain could even be like, I don't like, if you think of a scene in like any like one of those Avengers movies where like there's just absolute chaos and like, but at the end of this whatever, you know, this big war that they just fought in, like it's like pretty gloomy, but like but it's over, like they, you know, they survived it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost the feeling that I get. It's like it's recognizing the devastation of everything around you, but also like it's not over yet. There's still a little bit of music left to play. I think all of those interpretations are valid. I loved it though. I think so for sure that first song, Maggot Brain, I thought that was awesome. Incredible way to start the album. I love the second one too. Can you get to that? I thought it was really interesting. You and your folks, me and my folks.
It's play
play
you and
your folks, me and my folks. I love that song. I thought that was really cool. Those are probably the three that stood out to me the most this first listen through. I'm trying to think if any of them were like definite skips. I don't know. Maybe just like maybe Hit It and Quit It doesn't to me have like a lot of replay value beyond just the music. I think the influence that this album has had and this style of music and just the idea of kind of going against the grain and experimenting and exploring different things in music, I think is so important and so influential. And I think that makes this like an even greater album, you know, beyond just the music, just the lyrics. So I think I'm going to give this album like an 8.5 out of 10. Super enjoyed listening to it. I loved hearing some of the Jimi Hendrix influences on this album and also hearing like this album's influence on people like Childish Gambino and a bunch of other artists, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool to see.
Dope. Glad you liked it.
Yeah, I'm glad our cousin Mariah suggested this one.
Yeah. Thank you, Mariah, for making sure this made it on.
Shout out Mariah. She's got great taste in music. We love sharing music back and forth.
For sure.
So okay, sweet. Yeah, I love the album. Next week will be our last episode for this season. We'll come back after a couple months. So I also have not decided what album I want to bring. I know it's got to be a good one because it's our last episode for now, for the time being. So I'll be deciding that shortly, and but we'll make it a good one. We'll make sure it's a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited. I trust you. All right. Well, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the review of Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. If you liked the episode, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, formerly known as X, at the Off Track Podcast.